Residential fires quite often are caused by unattended cooking. That's one of the common causes of fires in the home. That's when you've put the cooking on and then left the kitchen, or certainly if you was to go to sleep, that would be potentially very dangerous. Other ones are the use of candles. If you use those, they need to be in a proper holder so they don't tip over and not near anything that can catch fire, so loose clothing or curtains or anything that's a material. Cigarettes is another common cause of fires in the home, sort of carelessly discarded, not extinguished properly. In particular in residential high-rise flats, when cigarettes are discarded off of balconies, that really shouldn't happen because we don't know where they're going to land, and with the wind factor, etc., they can cause a fire. Other things that are kind of a controlled fire but do cause us a problem are barbecues. So especially in a high-rise residential block, if it's a barbecue at height from the ground level, it looks like something else. So it will attract the attendance of our fire appliances in the borough. And if we get a fire in a residential high-rise block, we're going to send you quite a lot of fire engines, so 5 or more. Back in 2023, we launched our #ChargeSafe campaign. What this is getting safety messaging out to people that have bought an e-bike or an e-scooter, which is obviously powered by a battery, a lithium-ion battery. And we found that back in 2023, we started to see a rise in fires that were caused by these batteries failing, either the battery themselves or the incorrect charger. What can happen then is the battery goes into a phenomenon called thermal runaway. So very quickly, the battery will smoke, it gives off very toxic smoke and can burst into flames. There's very little time to get out of a property when that happens. So for us, that ChargeSafe campaign is essential. In Tower Hamlets, because we're a very densely populated borough, we saw the majority, or we had more than most boroughs in terms of fires that were caused by e-bikes and e-scooters.
We would like to know what are the basic fire safety tips that every household should follow.
Okay, so with regards to the batteries, the lithium-ion batteries, the most important advice is to purchase those from a reputable company. So a high street retailer is best because there's more chance that they've gone through the correct safety checks on those batteries. So buying second-hand, we don't know where they've come from, whether they've been dropped or damaged. Some online retailers, we don't know where that's been sourced, that particular battery. So if you've got a reputable high street retailer, you've got some comeback to that. The other thing is, if you're buying the actual vehicle itself, so a bike or a scooter, the battery that comes with it is the one that should be used. The charger that comes with the battery is most definitely the one that should be used, and not an after-sales one. So we don't go on to online, eBay, etc., and buy them to try and match them up in an attempt to potentially save money on your charger, because that could actually cause the lithium battery to fail.
Mm-hmm. And the very first reason of a battery catching fire, what is it?
So there are numerous reasons, but normally it's where it's not been manufactured correctly. That's what would happen, or if you're using the wrong charger, or if you've overcharged the battery, or if you've left it on charge and then gone to sleep. All those things are unsafe to do.
So let's suppose there is fire in the house now. What is the first thing to do?
So the first thing to do, if there's a fire in your property, is to get out. So if it's in your house or your flat, and there is smoke and or flames, you need to get out of that flat. So some advice in a residential block of flats is to stay put if the fire is not in your flat. That is sound advice, because the building is designed to contain the fire and the spread of smoke. So if the strategy for your building or your block of flat is to stay put, that's what we'd do. Unless you're in that room, then you would absolutely need to leave. Sometimes there is a different strategy, which is to evacuate. But if you live in a block where you've got an evacuation strategy, you should know that. Mm-hmm. So the very first thing to do is to get yourself and your loved ones out of the property. So with the children, I always find children really interesting because they're like little sponges of information. So if you tell them something, they tend to take it in a lot better than I do, for argument's sake. So you can always go through an escape plan with them. So what they would do in the event of a fire or another emergency, how they would get out of the building, how they would get out of the flat. You can also involve them in the testing of your smoke alarm. So that's a really good thing for them to do. It's quite an exciting thing for them to do. You might have to hold them up if they're small enough. But yeah, testing of the smoke alarm is a good way to involve children in your fire safety. And also, what would they do in the event of a fire? So you can practice it in the light of day, but if the power supply is gone and it's dark, how would they find their way out? So you can get them to almost, with children, it's like playing a game, although it's a very serious message, but it's planning that escape route should there be something that goes wrong. Also, we can educate them on how to correctly call the emergency services, because it may be a fire or it may be that it's a medical emergency. So that's a good way to educate young children and keep them safe.
Yeah, I suppose education is very important
It really is,
for children. Yeah, but if we have elderly residents in the house, so are those with mobility issues, but what should they do? Like, how can they escape? What's the first reflex?
Yeah, so that's a really good question, because obviously we've got an ageing population. And some people have got better mobility than others. Some will take longer to escape. So when you're doing that planning and you're thinking about how we're going to get everybody safely out of the property, that needs to be taken into consideration. Sometimes you might not be able to move them from a place of ultimate safety, so outside, but you could get them to a place of what we'd call relative safety. So away from the immediate danger, from smoke or whatever the emergency is, to a place of relative safety. When we spoke earlier about the first thing you should do is get out of the way of danger, but the very, very close second is to call the fire brigade and not presume that somebody else has called the fire brigade, because quite often people are busy videoing, taking pictures and not calling the fire brigade, and that any delay in our attendance can have, you know, a significant effect. So get out, stay out and call the fire brigade out. In terms of the charging of the battery, the key thing is make sure the battery has come with the vehicle when you first bought it, because that means it's compatible, that it's got a charger that also came with it. You need to make sure if you can't charge the bike outside, you have to have it inside, that it's charged in the room that you can shut the door to. So in the worst case scenario that a fire does develop or the battery starts to fail and give off very toxic fumes, it's contained to one room. With the charging, don't overcharge it. So when it's finished charging, stop charging it, unplug the charger from the wall and from the battery, and that's it. And don't go to sleep and charge your battery. Obviously, the battery that came with the bike was part of a package. So if you're able to go back to the same retailer, if it's a high street retailer, which is what we'd recommend, you can go in there and say, look, this is my bike, this is the model of the bike, this is the battery that I had before, can I have one that's compatible with it and the charger that I've got for that bike? That would be the most sensible thing to do. Quite often there's a temptation to go online and look for an offer to find something cheaper, either a battery or a charger. And sometimes if an offer looks too good to be true, it probably is too good to be true. So we would always advocate get the correct charger that's compatible with the battery and the correct battery that's compatible with the vehicle. What I would say is the charger didn't come with the battery and the battery didn't come with the bike, there is a chance that they're not compatible. And out of all of the fires that we've had with e-bikes and their batteries across London, certainly over the last year, is just short of about 150, a lot of those, the majority, were where they weren't compatible. Not all of them, but when we do a conversion of an e-bike or a battery, that needs to be done by a professional. And don't log on to YouTube and see if you can do something on there. It's very dangerous to do that, and potentially it's going to cost you a lot because it's going to damage your vehicle, and ultimately, if I'm being completely honest, it could lose your life or one of your loved ones. It's just not worth it.
Well, I think that applies to phones and then laptops as well, and all devices.
I think we're not here to scare anyone, but I think when you buy any electric device, it will come with a charger. If it's got a battery, it will come with its own charger. And that is what's key, that you use its own charger and don't look for a cheap alternative. Sometimes you think, well, we'll just get an extra charger because we're going to have one in a different room. You need to go back to the manufacturer to get that charger to be the safest that you can be.
Okay, so the common mistake you would say that people should avoid when using an electric bike, what is that?
So the most common mistake would be to try and get the bike to go faster by converting it yourself and adding batteries onto that bike and using something that wasn't designed for the bike. That's probably one of the most common causes that ends in a significant detriment to the individual. So either the bike breaking down or catching fire and destroying the property. Some of the recent fires that we've had with e-bike batteries, they happen very quickly with very little warning, and the effects are devastating. So for me, I would just say, if you're unsure about anything to do with fire safety, you can go online to the London Fire Brigade website. Lots of safety information on there. There's even details on careers if you wanted to become a firefighter yourself. If you don't have access to online, you can always knock on doors of one of your fire stations. The London Fire Brigade fire stations are your fire stations, and you're our community, and we are trusted to serve and protect you. So if you're in any doubt, if you come and speak to us, we'll give you the best possible advice we can to keep you, your family and your loved ones safe.
Well, thank you very much.
We understand that e-bikes and the users of e-bikes have increased manyfold throughout the years, and for many it's a livelihood, for many it's a way of bringing food to the table, it's a way of income, and we encourage everybody to be mindful and also be aware that there are also, as well as there are benefits, there are also dangers with e-bikes and the use of e-bikes. Last year, we had 2 fires per month within the Tower Hamlets area. We are, as many know, that we are very densely populated with high-rise flats, and we need to educate and bring awareness to our residents of what safety measures need to be taken prior to having an e-bike, whether it's to do with charging or whether it's to do with buying. So this needs to be educated. So one of the initiatives the council, Mayor Lutfur Rahman and his team, we took was to introduce a e-safety animation so that people can look at it and have an awareness on how this becomes. It's a localized version of how we want to educate our residents and create awareness that what is the dangers of charging and keeping e-bikes and e-batteries. One of the challenges that we have is working with London Fire Brigade. Our trading standard officers, whether you're buying online or whether you're buying from a local shop, there are rules or there are regulations that are standard that we need to look out for or before buying these bikes. And this is the key to ensure that there are many importers importing these goods into the UK, and there are certain rules that need to be followed prior to approval of selling these to the shops. But there is a loophole that they are bypassing this and they are selling them online or on shops. So our trading standard officers in Tower Hamlets are working hard with local community shopkeepers as well as online to ensure that there are no lawbreakers, and there are making sure that we crack down on illegal sites that are selling these chargers. One of the hard work that our team is doing is this e-safety, e-charge bike animation, which will help residents to see this, and it's in bilingual language, so it's important that many of our residents of Bangladesh background, it's also available in Bangla, so we are helping them to understand that important task. So these batteries, recently, a lot of people just dispose them in the localized bin in the estate. So when our dust carts collects them, they become a handle. They can also become a fire hazard. And we have seen recently our dustman crew have had to put out these fires because they were. So we need to make sure that we safely send them to recycle. Yeah, make sure that we recycle them at designated sites, and also there are canisters outside of in the pavement where we can actually dispose of these batteries safely.